everyone, and welcome back to the Crucible Play Day 7. I am your host, Lumi. I meant that as the royal we. But I will introduce you to our amazing talent for tonight. Here they are, my astounding casters, Light Rose and Chaka. Light Rose, how you feeling tonight?
Good. I hear we've got some really good games going forward. I'm super excited to cast the three that are ahead of us tonight.
Yes, and what about you, Chaka? Are you feeling excited?
Yes, I'm extremely excited because all of the games tonight have like really good implications for what each team's chances look like for either a straight shot into the playoffs positions or if they're just going to have to play an extra best of one through the play-ins to get to playoffs.
All right, well, before we take a look at what we're going to be looking at tonight, let us have a quick recap of yesterday. So here are all of the final scores. Just to keep it kind of quick, JJ did win one of their games and are currently locked in for play-ins. Friendship team did win against Slime Belief as well, but because they won in overtime instead of regulation, they were unable to overtake them in placements. Core did lose to Cruelty in regulation, so they will not be in playoffs because they lost two previous head-to-heads against Space Tubes and Outlast, and then JJ Co. also lost to Slime Belief. They made a very good effort in that game, but they just couldn't close it out. Chaka, who was one of our amazing casters yesterday, what can you tell me a little bit about those games?
Well, JJ and Co. had the first game of tonight against Up Next, where they absolutely demolished this team who's playing tonight against 1HP. So that's a game that I'm excited to look forward to because that was one of the games that I was talking about in regards to insane implications for play-in positions, more specifically not straight into playoffs just because of the position that both 1HP and Up Next are in. Then later on that night, JJ did get a win earlier that night against Up Next. Like I mentioned, it was a 7-1 win, and then they proceeded to have like a 5-1 attacking half, not in their favor but in Slime Belief's favor on labs, and they lost it while on the defense where they made quite a comeback, but they couldn't necessarily put themselves on match point after Slime Belief took the timeout when JJ and Co went 5-5 against them and drew the game level. They took a timeout, did Slime Belief, and they adjusted their game plan around JJ's and closed the game out finally after being 5-1 up going into their attacking half.
Well, it sounded like that was quite a riveting match, and I'm super excited that we can carry that energy onto today's matches. So before we get into our schedule, let's take a look at our standings. So we're gonna start with Group A's standings. The first four spots that you see there are locked in. They will not be moving on their standings today. Today is 1HP's last chance to make play-ins. They need to beat Up Next if they want to secure that spot. In terms of Group B, Shreds is currently locked in. They are not going to be moving tonight regardless of their performance. And however, if Shubes wins their game tonight, they can overtake Cruelty for that spot. So, Light Rose, how are you feeling about tonight's games? I already asked you that, but I'm going to ask you again.
1HP currently have the worst record and the worst round differential in the entire league. So they have absolutely nothing to lose and almost everything to gain simply because the tiebreaker is actually head-to-head. It is not round differential first. So if they do beat Up Next, they are simply on top. They go to play-ins.
Yes, this first matchup will be 1HP versus Up Next, and we did just talk a little bit about 1HP. Light Rose, do you have anything else to add to that so we can look at their roster as well?
I mean, the 1HP org has kind of been bouncing in and out of a lot of leagues for a while, and to kind of sneak into the Crucible, I don't think there were a lot of expectations for this roster, and safe to say, they're not really exceeding that expectation. I said they had the worst round differential. Their KD also 71 to 112. There's not a lot of bright spots for this team. The only close game that they had was up against Friendship Team, but everything else has really been 7-0, 7-1, 7-2s. But like I was saying before, all of that doesn't really mean anything, because all you need to do to make play-ins, to get a chance to play up against the opposing 4 seed of the other group, is just to win tonight.
Yes, that is all they need to do. And to get a little bit of a closer look at their team and especially their IGL, we do have a quick interview segment with Seinfo that we're going to show you right now.
I'm Seinfo. My name's Cole. I play soft support, and I'm the captain of 1HP. So Bands Coast, we have played them once. It was in the first week of the qualifiers. We got 7-0'd. You know, against Up Next, in my opinion, it's going to come down to us and them for who gets eliminated from this group. So a lot's going to be riding on that match, especially because it's the last one on our schedule. Yeah, for me, I started on console. Obviously, beta wasn't really out on console. So for me, when I started, I'd say I'm pretty sure I started in Black Ice. I was really on and off with the game though, and at the time I was really young, so I wasn't like super competitive.
All right, and that was from Seinfo. I honestly hope that they can redeem themselves for that 7-0. That was so unfortunate. But in order to make an accurate prediction of how this game is going to go tonight, we do need to take a look at their opponent up next. Chaka, what can you tell us about these guys?
I think that if 1HP can beat one team in this group, just one team in this group, it would be Up Next, because I think both them and Up Next have been, if I can be completely honest and blunt here, have been probably the 2 worst teams in Crucible. I think the biggest issues with Up Next is in regard to their overall team coordination. They've made roster changes right in the middle of the season. I haven't gotten a good idea of who their IGL is. Yes, Kiru is their captain, but captaining and IGLing are 2 different things. And I don't imagine Kiru in previous rosters doing IGLing much anyways. Irregardless of that, they brought Carnage and Deity, and even with that added experience of 2 players in at the T2 level, along with an element winner, 2 element winners, because Karn has won an element league, and so has Kiru on that NV team. It still doesn't look like they've improved much on team coordination or mid-round shot calling to capitalize off of early map control that they've gotten. And even on defense, they just play so isolated and over-aggressive sometimes. They have no trade potential, and they kind of look like another version of 1HP, but just slightly better on an individual level.
Well, going further on the individual level, we do have a similar interview with Up Next with Kiru, their captain, to give us a better idea of how they're feeling about tonight.
We had Aiden on as a substitute player, and then Vex got banned, and then we just needed 2 players then, so Aiden was just on a team with Karn, so he brought him on board, and then I reached out to Deity, and he said, why not? He has something else going on, so here we are. You know, it could be better, you know, we could have got 5 or 6 points, but we didn't. We only got 3. Could be worse, and we're just looking forward to getting as many points as possible this next week. Yeah, I think they're both pretty decent teams, you know. I think it's just going to come down to whoever's shooting their guns that day, and I have quite a bit of faith in my team. And then I think 1HP would be some nice 3 points at the end. I think it's almost 3 years now. My first comp roster was me, my friend Cohen, Floofs, Capsule, and then Snipey Poo.
And that was, once again, Kiru from Up Next. First of all, I just have to say, shout out to whoever is editing these interviews. They are doing an amazing job with that. But to kind of keep the ball rolling tonight, we are going to take a look at the maps that will be played tonight. So, Light Rose, can you tell me what you're seeing?
Labs going out, as well as Lair, maybe would indicate just a bit more of a brawl as well. I think Clubhouse is most likely where we're going to be headed given these two teams, and I think their unwillingness to go to some of these more difficult maps. A consulate ban isn't too surprising, and so 1HP technically get to choose between Bank or Clubhouse, and they chose Clubhouse. Spot on, from 3, swish. I called it.
I feel like we have seen a lot of Clubhouse this, series of playdays. But Shaka, can you tell us maybe a little bit more about this map and how it might affect the playstyle we see tonight?
Yeah, I think this is a map that both teams prefer. It's a very simple map that relies on fundamentals, which I'm gonna be completely honest, when I've casted both of these teams, when I've watched both of these teams, and watched as in VOD reviews, so I had to analyze it a little bit more by myself, they do struggle with fundamentals. Sometimes they don't even bring the correct lineup for things. I think there was one round from Up Next where they didn't bring any utility for blue, for example. They just brought a gridlock. With no names, by the way, just impact.
I remember that.
So
that got spread around
even
when I wasn't watching.
I'm just looking at it man, what's going on? But yeah, I think that this is a map that is preferred by both teams. It's an even battleground, and like Light Rose mentioned, it is a pretty simple map that both teams would obviously gravitate toward compared to a more complex map like Bank or Consulate.
Well, now that we have a pretty decent understanding of the teams and the map, Light Rose, I have to ask, what is your prediction for tonight's games?
I gotta go up next. There's nothing on 1HP that is inspiring me that would say they can beat the individual powers of even just Kiru, for example. I think you throw Deity in there as well. They haven't looked good in Crucible, and I think for their last game, they're probably not going to look good as well.
Well, I have to admit, personally, I am hoping that 1HP wins, as I love an underdog story, and when you're doing so poorly all season, I feel like that last one, that go big or go home, they have nothing to lose. Throw a Hail Mary, we'll have to see what happens. So that makes Chaka our deciding factor for the desk predictions. Which way are you going?
Dang it, I do not like making predictions, but I'll go ahead and make it because you asked really nicely. So, I want to go with my heart here because usually I like to think and say, oh yeah, I think Up Next will win it. I feel like that is the smarter decision, but I'm going to go with 1HP just because I just actually want to see them get a win. I thought they improved so much in their game when they played against Friendship compared to their previous regulation losses where they were losing 7-2, 7-0. They actually got 4 rounds against a Friendship team. Yes, they lost Wi-Fi. You brought Ashen, but that's still basically a Pro League team with 4 players, or 3 players rather, because I don't think Nick has played in Pro League, who has been at the Pro League level, so they probably should have been doing a lot better against 1HP. But there are a couple rounds that inspired me from them that showed me that they improved. So I think that if they carry that improvement over into today, then they may get a result here against Up Next, but I don't know how to call it.
All right. Well, now that we have our desk predictions, don't forget that you, as a viewer, might know better than us and can predict on your own. But with that being said, we are going to go right into this game, and we'll have to see who here was right.
I love gambling. It's actually not true. I'm not a fan of gambling at all. But
I don't like gambling either. I don't like
it's for channel points. I am being told that Balatro is equivalent to gambling, and that is a man who does not know ball at all. You play Balatro, Shaka?
I don't even know what that is. To be completely honest with you.
Good game. Very, very good game.
Is it cards?
Yeah, it has to do with cards and types of poker hands, but I think I would love to see competitive Balatro, but we're in competitive Rainbow Six, sadly, as we hobble through the first 2 operators. A Monty and a Deimos. I think that Deimos is pretty interesting, mostly because he usually doesn't get banned on Clubhouse. He's just kind of somebody you deal with and not something that's annoying enough that you actually have to take off the board.
Yeah, I think this is more... I feel like Up Next have done some homework against 1HP, because 1HP in their game against Friendship Team utilized vertical play quite a bit, especially when it came to like the second floor sites that Friendship Team were defending. They utilized demos quite effectively in order to take down below, or vert control down below, melee and stock, to clear like the cash room player, for example. If it was a gym bedroom defense and 1HP were doing a cash over clear. So I think in this sense, Up Next that was just a pure target ban from Up Next, because they saw 1HP use that operator quite effectively, and it was specifically Gold who was using him really well in order to apply vertical pressure against the defense when they were holding on some of the second floor sites.
So we'll see if that does affect 1HP once we actually go to those second floor sites. We're not heading there. We're on the basement. Up Next, currently they're bringing a kind of stagnant comp. You know, you've got the Bandit probably gonna electrify all 3 walls, which currently has. You've got the Warden to probably hide behind AK racks as well. Could potentially see players like Deity or Kiru, who has put down those Bandit batteries, roam onto that second floor to force 1HP to try to engage on the top floor and then work their way down.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Thought Kira would have at least reinforced the walls over by CCTV, for example. Usually you see some teams do that if they're going for a heavy extension up top, because maybe they know the other team will work the full map clear anyways, and they want to slow them down in a process. And usually that happens with the CCTV wall being fully reinforced and the Bandit trick right behind it. Maybe you even extend it to Burrell up there. But okay, that's one way to find an opening kill, and it's actually through Up Next. First, Ticey finds the kill into Slash as the Fink are already down, and 1HP have already lost way too many bodies at the beginning.
And now wait, what was 1HP's plan to deal with the triple wall going to be like impact DMPs? Because it probably would have had a potential hatch drop with gold secondary hard breaches and signatures Selmas, which you usually bring for the dirt wall or the triple wall. But now you don't have any secondary nor primary utility that really can help you with that. So it's mainly going to be 1HP dropping the hatch and probably just hoping that they can catch somebody out.
Yeah, this already looks like it's going to be a one-dimensional take anyway. Nobody's heading towards dirt neither. Luckily, there's no Kai to worry about, so they could get the hatches open, which is what they did by stock. You still have at least some summons on the board, so you can use 2 of those to open up the kitchen hatch, for example, and then maybe open up an angle into dirt, which it seems like that's what Signature is doing anyways. Vert is going to be made just above the site too in the hallways, but already they're at 5v3. You have 1 minute and 15 left. It seems like 1HP aren't really convinced on what they want to do.
Yeah, with gold dropping oil, still have the remaining 2 on the first floor. Signature is outside of the building as well, could potentially rotate to dirt. Push happens. 80 is down, and eventually Gold will get flashed by Regret's flashbang, but now is just stuck inside the Goyo fires, keeping him contained. But with 45 seconds, can actually make the adaptation to change where the push is going, and I think they will.
Yeah, you got that opening pick over by Blue. They've also opened up an avenue into dirt. That's going to bring the Smoke's attention. That would actually help them when it comes to going for this kitchen hash drop, which is seemingly what they're prepared for. 2 people over by dirt is what's going to be here for 1HP, and they just might go for a straight hash drop.
You can see the Kawan Hives deploy. There's still 1 in Gold's pocket. The last one will be popped out. And not even surviving on the drop. The Smoke claims Signature along with the SMG-11. And having troubles getting down the hatch. It's pretty easy for Up Next in this first round. They get 2 spawn peaks and then simply have to wait out the clock as 1HP struggle to even get on that basement floor.
Yeah, after that opening pick, after the opening pick for 1HP, when it came to Kiru sneaking down, Goat sneaking down Oil Pit to find this pick, there was like almost nothing after that. They opened up dirt and there was like no push combined with the blue pressure from dirt in order to make something happen on site. There was almost just like no follow-up is what I'm trying to get at. 1HP just didn't really work enough angles or enough pressures, and their whole push was already just extremely telegraphed, not only by sound cues, but also the fact that they were making a lot of vert above the site. They sent in Grim Bees from the kitchen hatch. There was no more pressure applied to blue because the Grim left, and the defense already knew that. And also no dirt pressure because the Goyo canisters were detonated by Up Next. So there was no way that 1HP in the last few seconds could have pushed down dirt. So yeah, just easily telegraphed, easy to close out round for Up Next as they finish off the opening round for
5
themselves.
seconds left before insertion.
But sometimes just how the basement goes, right?
Yeah.
You get picked off,
Locate and defuse a bomb.
maybe find some sort of equalizer, but without any real entry into the site, your hatch drops to me are such a gamble with that. It's just like, all right, close my eyes, I'm gonna drop, and then just hope everything works out. And in that
Like the
particular
Kermit meme.
instance, I mean, you don't really have a good shot at doing it in the first place. But Up Next have made some adaptations. I mean, they have the Kali now, so that is a primary utility designed to shut down something like a Bandit or a Mira, Banshees as well, Castle Barricades. That's kind of a one-fits-all solution for this round so far.
Yep, back in the days when Thatcher was banned almost all the time, Kali served as the alternative. If you couldn't have a Thatcher, you at least had a Kali. You send one of those Kali lances to a wall, like you mentioned, with the Bandit on it or a Mute Jammer on it. It would, all of that utility would dissipate. Kali could also be used for dissipating the castle barricades that exist on the highway windows. And because you have this sniper and also that SMG in your back pocket, you can make good use out of the highway position.
Trying to push this player out of cache. Jammer's gonna stop the Selma from breaching that cache wall. Now 1HP focuses on red stairs, but there's Up Next players in both areas. Both on the cache con rotate and red stairs, and Signature's able to get away with about 50 HP to their name. But now that you have gotten a lot of these walls open, you've cleared out the shields, and now you've cleared out red stairs, how are you going to be able to get a kill off of this? Instead, he's just looking the wrong way. Up Next are able to get yet another 5v3 opener, and the trade is there, making it a 4v2. As now with all the dust settled, about a minute left on the clock, it's Up Next for up in man count.
Kiru finds another kill for Up Next. That takes it down now to a 1v3 Signature just outside the main breach. And a litany of kills happened on the cache side, and he's like nowhere near it. Also, the cache wall was opened really, really late, and you still have somebody here actually over, or I thought there was somebody. No, there's somebody in garage. That's the castle of Aiden. He's just here the whole entire time. He was going for a flank, but he was not needed. And Signature just has really, it's going to be very hard to win this round just because of the sheer man count, but he also has to take ones, which Up Next are giving him, but he can't find a single one based off of no info. That's another round for Up Next.
You're not gonna be able to win a lot of your ones against Up Next. I think if you're going up, let's say Signature's going up against Kiru, Element winner. I don't think you're gonna win that, champ. Unfortunately, I mean, if you take that into account, the fact that you're not gonna win a lot of your ones, then you have to focus on teamwork, chemistry. Where is that? There's nothing really coming together at 1HP. Look scattered. They don't look like they have proper focus on what they actually want to do, and it makes it so that Up Next can throw a singular player in red stairs or cache, and they can wreak some havoc as long as they know how to fire back.
He also just seemingly had like no info on like that whole cache and CC extension. I don't know how like a guy is supposed to, like how a guy just goes up red stairs, for example, and you have another guy on platform breach and I think a third in garage, and nobody knows that there's a guy, and there is Kiru actually on the warden who's like in the middle of cache room, and they all just kind of unintentionally give him ones because they don't know he's there. And that's another thing that 1HP have struggled with alongside Up Next. They both have similar issues on attack, is getting like really good info to help them on their attacks.
We'll see if information continues to be a plague for this team. Already lost 2 drones and now picked up the Dekebi as well. That could help you with information. It's a CCTV attack. We'll see where 1HP want to go. They have the Maverick for the CC wall, and also do have some operators that could potentially indicate a gym overtake. They probably will have to engage on the first floor, given that there are 3 players here, and there's no way you're going to attack CCTV without trying to find these roamers. Deity loses the first engagement. It's a big help for 1HP.
Yep, that was actually the protection for the stock player. That's why Deity was there in the first place, was to protect the castle from any stock push. Now that that player is gone, it's going to be a lot easier to pressure the lounge player and pinch him. I like that move from 1HP to figure out, hey, look, there's exterior pressure here to help this castle. Let's deal with that first before we move right on in.
But how are they going to get rid of Kiru in this position? You can see they put a secondary hard breach up on the wall, and it's actually Kiru to take care of Snecky.
Yo.
And it seems like up next are just playing with their food. Doing plays like that where they don't really need to actually play like this, but they can, so they will. And now it's just up to Taisao. It was a 1v3. Now it's a 2v3 as Carnage B did get picked up. Not a lot of health, but the ability to rotate those F-Nuts is incredibly crucial, especially as 1HP are repositioning themselves on over to a Rafters take. We could see the first pick happening. Tice does spot them, but doesn't hit any bullets.
Flash is sent in. They just go up the garage stairs, sending in the flashes so they can have an easier time bypassing the line of sight here from Tice. That's going to make it easier to walk inside of sight, especially since he missed the shots. Now they can move right on in and plant because, well, up next have no utility to stop it.
There's no C4s, there's no smoke, so as long as you have the coverage, that's all you need. And 1 HP. Up next, I said most of the time you aren't going to be winning your ones. Up next just decided them to give them the freest ones of all time. Or peeking on a player in CC balcony. Why are we doing that, Carnage B? You know better.
Apparently not, and I think that's one thing that up next, again, like I mentioned in the pre-show, do have an issue with. While 1HP have had issues with converting man advantages and, not really getting the opening pick. I mean, they do get the opening pick quite a bit, that's what I mean. But they have trouble with converting man advantages. Up next have an issue with just like playing so isolated on these defenses, man. It's like, it's kind of, I'm gonna be completely honest, it's kind of an issue actually, and it's been an issue the whole time they've been in Crucible. And so to see that happen in that very last round where they had clearly a lot of control, there was still somebody in lower garage, you deal with the Capital, you deal with other pieces of utility that 1HP have don't have anymore in order to help you challenge into Rafters. And what Up Next did is what they did best. It's just give up ones, give up Rafters control, and now not only do you not have any utility over by garage anymore, you have no utility to stop the plant. You have nothing in order to stop the flashes from sailing on in and affecting you so that 1 HP could go right on in and take site control and plant.
Jack, I'm gonna keep it 100% with you.
Yeah.
Up next are not a team. They're 5 singular players.
Yeah.
You know that might sound weird, but if you know the history about any of these players, they kind of bounce around a lot. Obviously, Carnage B was on Karn & Co. for a while, had the poor performance in Element 4, and now has just been bounced around. Some other teams, same with Kiru, Deity as well. Nobody's really been able to actually find a proper home. You start to wonder why. And I think we could potentially see that here. They play incredibly individualistic, and there's no reason for them not to. And a lot of times when you're in leagues like this and you're able to get a lot of kills, as Tice gets yet another opener, that's 3rd for this map.
And he can just teleport right away, and that's exactly what he does. Leaves the Scopos drone up here. I mean, 1 HP could shoot it out, but you also lose one of your primary verts, leaving Sledge as the only way that you can make vert here above the site, because 1 HP have no breaching charges. They don't have RAM, anything. They haven't been utilizing the RAM when they played the basement site, most notably. And you also still have a Nitro cell to play against, so that's going to be that means that there's going to be more importance on the Sledge staying alive. You have to be extra careful, especially with him playing inside of the hallway, for example, because Kiru is positioned with that one and only Nitro Cell for up next in Church. So something to think about here for 1HP as they begin working the vertical.
Bomb located.
Trying to spot anybody here. Maybe get from util, a body, anything would be lovely, but as I was wondering if that was a shell for Tice, because they do highlight the shells, making it seem like it's a player, but that is definitely a unique area to play. But I don't think 1HP really are ready for it. Gold spots a player down below. C4 goes up, and down goes Gold. And once again, kind of individualistic there, Chaka. There's nobody around the stock hatch to actually help. And now with 30 seconds left, you are getting the triple wall open. But you're hoping that every single player that is alone is going to be able to get a kill. It's not going to happen for Slash. It's not going to happen for Signature. And now as Sneki drops, it is up next. Firing back with a flawless round of their own. And it seems like 1HP still have their huge weaknesses.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, just really isolated plays. Again, for the execution, it doesn't really seem like they're timing it together, instead going for isolated gunfights. And this speaks to the overall inexperience for 1HP. The one thing that I've been told by their coach is the fact that, we didn't really expect to make it here into Crucible. And some of the players that are in an IGLing position, if it's not Seinfeld, then it's, I think, Regrets, who's also helping with the communication for this team. Every player here is extremely inexperienced in shot calling, and that primarily affects your executions on the attack, and we just saw it right there. One player drops Zani Hatch, yes, as the last player alive, but there are players also just pushing by themselves isolated, one by one at different intervals of time, not pushing together, not formulating a cohesive execute. And that's one of the main issues with 1HP. They don't have the man advantage again, so there's nothing to convert. But still, that doesn't stop you from trying when you have things like the Ying and the Grim on the board that can help you take space in places like Blue, for example.
I mean, you're also going up against a lot of players who've been in the scene for a long time. Much longer than anybody on 1HP. So I think when the sides swap, the knowledge that a lot of the 1HP players have, even if they don't really play together, they have some of the same issues that 1HP has. They know enough core fundamentals that I think will be able to beat 1HP. And sadly, sometimes that's just how it works. We see Aiden almost engage on Secret Window. Gotta be careful you don't be the first entry. That's because so far, entry kills have followed exactly 1 for 1, and the only entry that 1HP was able to get in round 3 directly led to their round win.
Kiru playing on the Raptors position, this is something that you don't see quite a lot on to Gym when you're playing Gym Bedroom. This is commonly for the CCTV and Cash site just because of how powerful Garage is, but they just want to waste more of 1HP's time. They won't really do it that much because Aiden dies down below. Ticey finds a kill back for up next. And yeah, kills go both ways, but they find a way to clear this garage position now, and it'll be so much easier for now clearing the cache over. What the hell is going on?
I don't know how you don't even get the kill into Deity there.
Yeah.
She's almost to get damage onto Gold as well. It's kind of a shame for 1HP because I feel like they actually played that Rafters clear really well. But the fact that they just didn't have their angles covered, a lot of up next were just kind of able to push forward without any fear of consequences. And Ticey is on the 2nd floor hiding behind a shield. He's got an F-Knot right in front of him and now can simply play behind this wall and waste time because they have the man advantage, and clearly they have a utility advantage with the 3 smokes in Karn's pocket.
I think there's also a shield still up that's finally going to be dealt with the Kali Lance. But yeah, I mean, you just have crossfires here set up for up next. It's going to make it really hard to advance here from Cash.
Push comes. Tice gets 2. Tice is having a lovely game for himself, but I think there's almost no pushback from 1HP. It's attacks that seem toothless, aimless. It's less than their opponents. I really think that, Chaka. Going up 5-1 feels like an inevitability.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not allowed to get started anywhere. They're being met at the front door by Up Next. Just almost like how I mentioned Up Next, when they're faced with aggro plays inside of the map on their attacks, they kind of just don't know how to react based off of that. It seems like that's the same thing for 1HP. It's a hard thing to like adjust around, especially if you are a more inexperienced team compared to Up Next, who just plays so aggressively. There's really no organization to how they play, and that's probably the worst type of play style to play against, because you don't really know what to expect. So in a way, I can kind of sympathize with 1HP, but they've also had just some really weird games in general. So we'll see. I mean, that was just also like a weird round to watch, because it just, again, it really felt like they had a good clear in the process. And I mean, you mentioned the Raptors clear, for example, in Garage. They still lost a lot of bodies on that clear. So even if they got Raptors control, it didn't really make a difference in the end, because they just kept losing man count after man count.
Yeah, it's something you can't have when you're trying to clear out sites that aren't even close to the actual site that you're pushing as well. CC was the only time that they actually won prior. Was a push down below. Slash was able to get the kill into Deity, who was on the Solus the last time. But it seems that Up Next, they've gone more to a site presence strategy instead of a first floor presence strategy. It's why you're seeing the Mira. It's why you're seeing the Bandit Azami on the rafters as well. Very, very common as well. But no, Signature is asked to potentially get this wall open with a Mira directly watching the Black Mirror, always just staying right behind it. But I think the Selmas get muted and will get open.
Yep, Didi's nowhere around. Oh, did he get the wall? Either way, that's the Selma gone, and they can't get that wall open anymore because they have no more Selmas. So they might just pivot towards a construction clear, but they also don't have any hard breach to open con single. This is like already like a really weird attack. You lose the Ash, that's a good counter to the Miras, and also a good way to get rid of some of these Kiba barriers in Garage, since you have the Capital in play. What the heck?
Kira's playing in Logi. He's got no help. C4 goes out, doesn't connect, but 1HP, I think they ran over there to grab the diffuser. There's not going to be anybody directly there for the trade. I kind of lost for words as to what 1HP can even do, because no matter where they push, they're going to meet an Up Next player, and they haven't been able to fire back. Kira gets yet another one, and Signature's there for the trade, but that is just to make it a 2v4, Chaka.
And, oh, they still do have hard breach. I totally forgot the Maverick was available here for Signature.
They're not going to be using that for the CC
They're probably
wall.
not going to be using it,
No.
because, I mean, if he's going into con with nobody to help him, and he goes to breach this wall and he gets swung on the door, I might lose my mind. I won't lie to you. Oh, he's going to do it. He shall lose.
Found a player, actually.
Yeah.
It was, I think that was Deity who was in cash. Must have heard something, and now definitely knows that there's a player here. But I guess not. Deity didn't hear the shots and didn't see the line from the Maverick torch directly in front of him. 1HP, you'll take that all the way to the bank. It's another one for Signature. There's nobody in cash, and if you can get inside, get past the red stairs, rotate, potentially you have a chance. It's a 1v1. Carnage B on a breath.
5 seconds left.
He's got 4 seconds. All he needs to do is survive. There's no chance for Gold to stick it, but that's exactly what Gold for do, solidifying the round for Up Next, and he won't even hold it down. It's Up Next to go up 5-1, and it's still, there was a chance, but time really killed him in the end.
Man, I feel kind of goofy now, because like nobody swung off of that door, and I was pretty confident because of how aggressive Up Next were playing that they would have done that.
I just don't know how Deity didn't like
hear it
or see it.
or see it. No, because like I didn't I didn't, unless like I'm deaf, I didn't hear anything else going on, so I don't think it was like a sound thing.
So a Maverick torch is silent.
Pretty
It's
silent,
the idea. The idea is that it's supposed to be silent. It's why I think it's why he says quiet as a mouse sometimes when he equips the torch. But they heard shots from Khan, and it was an M4. They should have some sort of idea that maybe they're maving the CC wall.
Yeah.
Or the con wall, excuse me.
Attackers have discovered the location.
Yeah, and they almost could have lost that round based off of ones. They just didn't really know about the red player. Time was running really, really low. Gold had to get the plant down in a 1v1 with 5 seconds left. Unfortunately, had no other option. Didn't see it fit that he had enough time to go for a pick. So I understand the decision there. It's just a real big shame because like Signature by himself almost could have won that round there for 1 HP just by opening up a hole in the wall that nobody knew about.
This whole game is just solo players making their mark. That is not what was intended. I think it might have hit the underlip of that railing there, but eventually will get placed correctly. Regrets is playing the Azami and does have assistance from, I believe that is Gold, who was kind of playing the secret stairs. I do expect up next to be very, very aggressive in how they play this. And 1 HP, they threw 2 Kiba barriers down and are immediately evacuating. I do find that a little odd.
They also didn't really waste any time. This is full map control, ready for up next. You can utilize the vertical play. The only thing that I'm really worried about for up next while they're setting up this vertical play is the nitro cells, which is right under the buck right now. Yep.
Call your shot. Right there. Deity is just not aware of the potential threat of a C4. And 1 HP. They get an opener. Remember the last time they did get an opener, it immediately went to a round win, and we'll see if they can connect on that. They don't take away enough floor vertical destruction simply because the boogie drone is still available. But I think so far up next are playing really, really well, and just Signature has no chance of living there. I think Regrets peaked that flashed as well. But it's a 3v3, equal man count in 1 HP. They just have to stay the course, use the Kiba barriers, use the 3 smokes that Smokey has in pocket. But he's all the way in the other side. There's no communication that the plan is going down. And now it's up next, who just have to play the waiting game. And Kiru all alone, currently on double digits, the only one in the lobby. Not even able to get a singular kill, and it's 1 HP who double their round count. Looked a bit scary, but all you really need at the end of the day is a W.
All you need in that round as well for 1 HP is just the better positioning and the man advantage against up next, who lost the Ying, who I'm going to say was around stock. That's most likely why the Azami was flashed in the first place. Just didn't really expect to be flashed in that moment while they were swinging. If I can remember correctly. Yeah, it was by stock. So she sent the Candelas down the blue hatch, and that's why the Azami was flashed, plus the blue players, which allowed Kiru to play into Moto effectively. But once she died, up next have 0 blue pressure. They're in a 3v2. It's the smoke actually in the back of Armory who has free reign to use the smoke grenades from behind, plus a shotgun to flank the only planter and the night plant using those toxic babes. And you also have to worry about blue at the same time. Once Karn lost his life and Kiru was stuck in Moto, all 1 HP had to do was team up against Kiru to find the final kill, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, getting the diffuser down as the attack is always a good thing, but I think the smoke was actually not using the smokes for the plan. It was kind of rotating and shutting off an angle of exit for the attack. So it's like, okay, you got the diffuser down, now get away with your life. I think that was something where it's just you're kind of working with what you have and not that was the plan to begin with. But like I said, it's a win. And all 1 HP need is just to keep adding to their round count.
Man, do they need wins. I mean, they got 4 rounds against Friendship Team, to be fair, and I think it was partly due not only to their pretty decent attack half, where they got a 3-3 half, but they also got a couple of rounds on their defenses. Kiru gets a kill from down below. That's one of the cash players, and that's the zombie that didn't really have any impact on up next time constraints when it came to taking map control last round.
Drones spotting any potential players or lack thereof. Closest player is really just going to be in Logi, because there were a couple 1 HP players who did drop to that first floor. It's actually Signature and Slash who actually have the C4s, but there's so much time remaining that I don't think you're really going to be able to play it. I say that Signature gets a C4 kill, so clearly I'm the idiot.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been
I don't
dropped.
think you're an idiot. What I do think,
I mean,
though,
in
is
the
that
situation.
what I do think, though, is that the Ashe is dead, and I don't think she got to use a single Ashe charge. I don't know exactly where the mirror windows are placed. There could be one in Gold Vault to watch for windows. There also could be one in Bathroom, but there's a player here down below, and he's Flash. He almost gets away through the door, but that slash down, 1 HP, find themselves in a man disadvantage yet again. Up next, keep the pressure up, and yeah, they just have the man advantage here with below control, so that's pretty good.
What was Slash doing there? How did Slash get there? It's very odd.
Question.
Yeah, question marks going around. It's gold to strike. Equal man count. Signature has to break the black mirror. And now fires away. It's still a 2v2. The trade game on both sides has been really good, but information is just better in that situation. Now Gold, who has been a big player in the last couple rounds, has to complete a 1v2. You can't really rely on time to help you in this situation. Some drones on the board for up next. Flank drones, none in the pockets of the two remaining players. They have the doorway covered. The flash goes off. No idea where Gold is, and now Gold walks down the stairs. Time continuing to tick. Aiden does not have the diffuser in his pocket, and he's not going to play for the diffuser. Actually walks away. I think he is going to retrieve it, and that allows Gold to walk up. There's 10 seconds remaining. If he plays this well, he can win it. Hears it go off, and he gets the kill. It's 1 HP. It's Gold to keep this team back in the game and still in Crucible. Remember, they lose, they're out. They win, they're in play-ins.
And it might just be making a comeback on these defenses. I mean, that's 2 rounds in a row for 1 HP after starting off abysmally on the attacking half with a 5-1 deficit. And I mean, that game, they just kept the pressure up. And I mean, yeah, we saw Slash down below, and I think that was just because Bandit, he has a nitro cell. He could be applying pressure to the vertical pressure that Up Next were applying against them, which seemingly was a big issue in that round for Up Next when it came to their cache overextension. Dealing with that bug was a priority for them, and even though they didn't deal with them the first time, they did deal with them the second time, and then it made it easier for them in the end to figure out where the push was coming from. Overall, it's just a very good clutch from Gold, who has been the most consistent player on this team, continuously showing up, even against some of the better teams in Crucible.
I mean, it was Signature in the first kind of 4 or 5 rounds. And then I think Gold being there in the previous 2, I mean, getting a couple of these C4 kills, getting the clutch, obviously. It's what this team needs for both of these sides to rely on individuals to get the job done. Gold clearly is the big player in this situation. Is Up Next, they're going to have to work through this mirror strategy. It was something they brought themselves, and I think it kind of did throw a curveball into that 1 HP attack roster, who are bringing a Blackbeard, which is the first time we've actually seen him brought so far today.
Man, when all else fails, just bring the Blackbeard. That's seemingly the answers for most attacking teams nowadays. Blackbeard is a very powerful operator for the attack. A lot of teams do not like this operator. He's usually, I think he's the most banned op in Crucible for the attack. And it's no surprise as to why. I mean, he's very hard to see when he ADSs. He has an assault rifle with the shield right in front of him. He has nades, the clear utility. What more could you ask for an operator? And he's already put himself into construction.
I think this is going to be a very slow take. Obviously, Kirill is known in this position, but with a lot of the walls still getting open, and a lot of the util being spotted. There's no reason
Yikes!
Kira can push, and I think that's a prime example as to why. Snecky, who was 0-7 before that particular kill, strikes first and takes a big operator off the board. That's the spearhead for Up Next gone.
And they're trying to Maverick behind him. He's playing really aggressively on his cash door. And I'm surprised that he's still here. You have a minute and 25 left to play for. He could have rotated back to red to play behind a mirror window. Probably was afraid of somebody cutting him off on cash. They're still working. I think they got platform wall open by this point because Zofia still wouldn't be there if they didn't. And 1 HP, he aggresses again and gets a kill onto D. That's the Grim down.
Welcome to the game, Kiru says, and Snecky has a very, very fine welcome. Holds the SMG-11 angle on the window. So if Karn does hop in, Death waits around the corner. Yet Aiden has a very tight angle. He's able to get the kill onto Snecky. Now that makes it so Karn can walk in. But Aiden is just going to slip through. Is the C4 go out? It does not connect. And now, as you still have one in pocket, defense can rely on that. It detonates, does damage to Karn, and still doesn't get a kill. For 1 HP, they have these reinforced walls. They have the red stairs. They have a lot of these areas that they can just rely on and wait. But Aiden pushed forward, gets a kill, gets another one. And that means that he can start to plant. Where's the coverage for this attacking team? Better yet, where's the defense? It seems that one is stuck in garages. It's regrets to die. And to keep Up Next from going on map and match point, it has to be a 1v3. Carnage B at a singular bullet's worth of death as Aiden takes a little bit of damage. I believe it's from the bandit charge, but so close to getting that headshot. Signature doesn't, and it makes his task so difficult. Can't even get out of the Raptors position. Up Next, the box was kind of starting to constrict around them, but eventually they break free and get to map point.
It also, losing that round means that 1 HP have no chance of making play-ins. Not a single chance. Because remember, V, they don't have a single point in Crucible.
Yep.
So even if they do go to OT, you still give a point to Up Next, who are currently on 3, and you'll only be on 2, and they'll be on 4 by the time this game ends. If it goes to OT and 1 HP win.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because the only way for 1 HP to win is to go to overtime.
Yeah.
So, we have now reached the point where this game is useless. Woo! We have another useless game after this. Game was what? Oh, hold on. We'll potentially have some.
Says. You know he trolls. Please don't.
Yeah.
I will say about that last round. I like the way that Up Next were thinking. I originally was like, oh, why aren't 1 HP watching the construction walk-in? The garage player couldn't watch anything. The mirror window was destroyed, so the player that was on red had to hide as to not overexpose himself. So there was no viable way for 1 HP to viably watch the entry from construction, which then made it easier for the ace to just run in and get a quick 2K while the garage player was pinned by the platform player holding his cutoff. So yeah, really well worked round from Up Next, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, we got it.
I mean, we've seen Gold make hero plays. Why can't Aiden make hero plays? Run in when they don't expect you. Boom. That's 2. That's a round. Actually, if Aiden doesn't get those kills there, Deity has had that boogie like on the scope for almost the entire game, I think. For at least a couple rounds now. It's been a really persistent client-sided bug, and it's really bothering me.
No, it's okay. I think that's like an observer bug anyways. I don't think he sees it.
No, it's definitely a bug, but yeah. I don't like it.
I heard a nitro rip, so if this Ash or if Ticey just walks down the main stairs, he might just get smoked unless he shoots out where the nitro cell exactly is, or if they just make vert above it, which is kind of what they're doing at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. It doesn't look like they spotted it out, they pinged it. So yeah, they do get it.
Yeah, I don't actually think it's been deployed. The idea was that you use the C4 as a way to just, like, spread fear into the enemy. Regrets doesn't even get a chance to use it. because Tice walks down the stairs 11-5. That would be the 4th entry for Tice in this game. So, big job for him to really keep Up Next in the driver's seat. The second kill comes out, it's going to be a C4 from Regret. So 1HP have done a very good job at getting these utility kills, but when it actually comes to man-to-man engagements, that's where they've struggled.
Yeah, I mean, you also just have Up Next who are individually great. I talked about Aiden, or I haven't talked about Aiden quite a bit, which I feel like I should, but I'm not going to because it looks like Up Next at the moment are going for an execute. Plant is going down B, and an EMP rolls out as well towards blue, and it's going to make this plant go by so much smoother.
Coming out, Aiden, the Candelas do a great job creating space. It's a 1-for-1. Sneki still has 2 smokes in the pocket. Once again, not used for denial. His signature's going to use that for the cross. Doesn't do anything. It does get a trade, but that does not matter at all. And 1 HP. They have reached new heights. This is the 2nd highest round count they got in Crucible, but it is still a loss. And they are, unfortunately, out of the Crucible.
Yep, but the regulation win, the moment Up Next confirmed match point. Even if 1HP went into OT, like we mentioned, they are on 0 points. Up Next are on 3. Even if they got that OT win, Up Next would have been on 4, and 1HP would have been on 2. So after that, it was game over for them. And I wouldn't be surprised that even after that last round, they just kind of like shut off the monitors for a little bit and said, you know what, GG's. I know for 1HP, they specifically told me before with their coach that they have a mentality to never give up. And you know what? To be fair, they never really did. They tried their hardest, but it just wasn't meant to be. The overall inexperience of the team is what cost them in the end, especially in the shot calling department. And they kind of just didn't really look like a team throughout the whole of Crucible.
Well, it is always unfortunate when we have to say goodbye to a team, and that team is unfortunately 1HP. They have no chance for a Cinderella run. The underdog story is over for them. RIP my predictions.
I win.
Man.
Yes.
I guess you're just more experienced than me, I guess, with predicting things. A better gambler, if you will.
Maybe.
So, kind of looking at this breakdown of the map, we did see a 5-1-1/2 for favor of Up Next. They did start defense. I think the game in general is very defender-sided, especially with these default maps like Club. But, Light Rose, can you break down a little bit about what Up Next was doing so well on their defense to be so dominant?
They shot better. They brought up their guns, and they went... And they killed Up Next, who have really bad attacks.
All right,
So-
clear and concise.
I mean, that's kind of it. Like what? Like it's more. It's less Up Next having really good defenses, and it's 1HP having really bad attacks.
Okay. So, kind of building off that, what would you suggest that they needed more of, or to do better, other than just hitting their shots?
I mean, that's hard to say because in games like these, when you're not asked to do anything more than what's needed, you can't really say, oh, what could we have done better? Because you didn't need to. You got the win. That's why losses are sometimes so important, because they can show you what you need to work on. And for Up Next, this didn't do that. This just showed that they are better than what is seen as the worst team in the league. And clearly they passed that bar.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it looks like they are going to be our underdog story up next. Nice. I love making dumb jokes with their name. I will miss it. But to kind of wrap things up, Chaka, if you could give one piece of advice to 1HP after tonight, what would that be?
Just keep the mentals positive, because from what I understood, the mentals have kind of like, I'm going to use a cringy word, it's been chalked from the moment that they lost their first game against JJ and Co, because from what they told me, they felt like they did really good prep against them, and it just felt like with the chaos and rounds, with them not being able to close out man advantages, the mentals and the heads started to drop, which led them to make 2 roster changes in the middle of the season. So if they can keep that positive attitude up coming into the next Crucible or into the next season of TPL or Xenon, and take this experience as a way to grow themselves, then yeah, you know, the other stuff will come soon.
All right. Well, speaking of coming soon, that is the wrap up for that game. We will be back after a short break with Outlast versus Shred. So grab some popcorn, grab a drink, and then stick around for the next game.